What would you do if everything you knew, your language, your culture, your faith, was under the control of a foreign empire? For nearly 400 years, the Greeks had been living under the shadow of Ottoman rule, their land divided, their freedom stripped away. The Greek War of Independence was more than just a battle for freedom. It was a high stakes game of life and death, one that would draw in foreign powers and alter the course of European history. But how did it all begin?
Part 1. The Spark of Revolution.
The revolution started with a secret organization. In 1814, a group of Greek intellectuals and merchants formed the Philiki Eteria, or the Society of Friends. Their mission was to free Greece from centuries of Ottoman control. Their leader was Alexandros Ypsilantis, a former Russian army officer. He believed that now was the moment to strike, but could a small band of conspirators really inspire an entire nation to rise up? In February 1821, Ypsilantis crossed into Ottoman-controlled territories in Moldavia, hoping to spark a wider rebellion. His vision was bold, but the local uprising failed, and it was crushed by the Ottoman forces. Still, that wasn't the end. It was far from it. This first spark would ignite something far greater back in Greece itself.
Part 2. The Flames of Rebellion in Morea.
In the Peloponnese, or Morea as it was known, revolutionaries were preparing their own uprising. The Ottoman presence was strong here, but so was the will of the people. On March 25, 1821, the cry for freedom rang out across the land. The Greeks had had enough. From Kalamata to Tripolitsa, Greek forces surged across the region, taking key cities. One of the most decisive and brutal victories came with the fall of Tripolitsa. Thousands of Muslim and Jewish inhabitants were massacred in a wave of violence.
Part 3. Heroes of the Revolution.
The revolution had its heroes, men and women who would stop at nothing to see Greece free. Thodoros Kolokotronis, a seasoned war leader, became one of the faces of the revolution. He was known for his fierce tactics and unyielding spirit. Kolokotronis believed in the cause of Greek freedom above all else. Then there was Laskarina Boubalina, a fearless naval commander and one of the few women to lead forces in the revolution. She defied all expectations, launching attacks on the Ottoman fleet with a determination rarely seen in such conflicts. For a time it seemed like they were succeeding, but the Ottomans were not about to lose their hold so easily. They got reinforcements from Egypt under the command of the formidable Ibrahim Pasha. The tides began to turn. The towns and cities that had been hard won by the Greeks now faced the risk of destruction. The revolution, it seemed, was on the brink of collapse. Part 4. The Turning Point. The Battle of Navarino. Just when the revolution seemed lost, a twist of fate occurred that would change everything. On October 20th, 1827, at the Battle of Navarino, the combined forces of Britain, France, Russia intervened. In a stunning victory, they decimated the Ottoman Egyptian fleet. The destruction of the Ottoman fleet was a critical blow. It forced the Ottomans to begin negotiating, and suddenly the dream of an independent Greece wasn't so far away. Part 5. The Struggle for Recognition and Independence. But independence didn't come easily. Even after the victory at Navarino, Greece faced internal struggles, infighting, and challenges of establishing a new nation. By 1830, Greece was finally recognized as an independent state, but with much smaller borders than what the revolutionaries had hoped for. The road to stability was long, and foreign powers still had a heavy influence over the fledgling state. Greece's first king, Otto of Bavaria, was placed on the throne by European powers. Did the Greeks really gain their freedom, or was it simply the start of another form of control? Part 6. The Legacy of the Revolution. The Greek Revolution of 1821 was more than just a war for independence. It was the birth of modern Greece, a nation that rose from centuries of Ottoman rule. It was forged in the fires of rebellion and diplomacy. What would have happened if Greece had failed in 1821? How different might Europe look today? These are the questions that history leaves us with. One thing is certain, the bravery of the men and women who stood up against the Ottoman Empire will never be forgotten.
Based on the video that you just watched, here are 5 simple questions to answer. Question number 1. What secret group helped start the Greek Revolution? Question number 2. What area in Greece saw major fighting first? Question number 3. Who was the famous Greek war leader in the Peloponnese? Question number 4. What big naval battle helped Greece win at the end of the war, or at least near the end of the war? And question 5. When was Greece finally recognized as independent?